its management, or other advertisers. This program is sponsored by the Eastside Real Estate Team.
It's time for Real Talk with Brian and Dan, the weekly talk radio show dedicated to discussing important real estate topics, plus insight into the local community. With a combined experience of over 50 years as local real estate brokers from the Eastside Real Estate Team at Keller Williams Realty Bellevue. Here's your hosts, Brian Levitt and Dan Edwards.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW. It is Wednesday, March 11th, 2020, and it is surreal. There are some weird times going on right now. Stuff. But we are glad you're listening because here's the thing. We don't have to come in contact with each other, so don't put your ear too close to the radio. It may transmit some goodness. Only good stuff, right?
All the good stuff. Puppies.
Yeah. Puppies. Now, if you are interested, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. You can just go Google, KKNW, 1150 KKNW, and you can watch us live there. You can also listen to us on podcasts, anywhere podcasts are podcasted, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. And finally, you can view past episodes on our website, theeastsiderealestateteam.com. Just go there and you'll see a whole bunch of our past allied resources and real estate tips. But we're glad you're listening to our show today. I'm really excited to talk real estate. We have some fantastic guests. Today we're welcoming back Angel Barna of Troth and Company. And today we have Aya Mears with Kengo Kuma Associates. But before we get to our guests, let's start out with some real talk. I thought we'd bring it down a little bit, just kind of settle everyone's nerves, right? Little Bob Marley, those of you watching in the future, because we take that out, you won't know, but that was Don't Worry About a Thing. So here is our coronavirus special edition. Brian, we're talking a real estate market in the current conditions. We've been talking about such a red-hot market. What's going on now, and how is coronavirus affecting?
Well, before we go there, I just got a little comment last night listening to my son and one of his friends chatting about the Chinese virus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, don't go there.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
And he says, fine, we'll call it Kung Flu. So
do we have a rim, on that? Yeah. Bad
so
joke.
Anyway, real estate market, with all the stuff going on now, the school closures, the social distancing, all that, I was curious this weekend how it impacted the new listings that we mentioned last week.
Right.
We were flooded at our open houses over the weekend. We had 9 offers. And we're in contract way over list. And it's the hottest real estate market I've ever seen.
Yeah, last week's interest rates really, I think it really motivated even that stitch of individuals that were like, well, I'm just going to kind of wait this out because that was once in a lifetime. I hear the rates, and we'll talk with Michael Burdick. They've kind of bounced back up a little bit. A
little bit. I think they're going to be softening again. And part of it, Michael can expand on this, but the relationship between the bond market and the interest rates, the Fed rate is more closely tied than the Fed rate and mortgage interest rates.
Yeah.
The relationship is an inverse relationship. But I think one of the issues right now is when you're watching the stock market, it's lack of confidence. But consumer confidence in housing is extremely high. I think in other areas there's a little bit of trembling going on.
Well, it's always been the case that you see when the stock market hits its level of volatility that investors are looking for something that's tangible and secure.
Right.
And real estate is it.
Yeah, a lot of money coming into income real estate right now.
So as far as your open house, how did you process what is it called, social distancing?
Yeah, we just, as shaking hands is part of the business and just saying, hey, a little foot bump. Because even the elbow bump, they're saying, hey, if you're going to sneeze in your elbow.
Yeah.
So we'll pass on that, thank you.
Yeah.
Or a bow, polite bow. Or I saw a couple people who put their hand over their heart in a slight bow. And it's like just being respectful to people.
Yeah.
But it's like a little different to walk away from the customary handshake, but just keeping a little distance. And then, of course, hand washing.
Have you noticed people are a little bit more communicative now?
I haven't really noticed a change.
You haven't noticed it?
I tell you, one thing I like is I'm not sitting in traffic jams.
Well, that's true.
People aren't out and about.
Getting out to see homes is a little bit easier. One of the things that I started to do, and I've done this for some time, is individuals that are relocating to the area is giving them a show of homes. Well,
Right.
it's easy for us to take out FaceTime, right, and do a full-on tour of a property.
Right.
And that way you're not concerned about spreading the virus. We bring hand sanitizer, right, to all the
Yeah.
open houses, so people coming through can kind of make sure they're staying clean.
Yeah, one of our competitors was touting that they will do a virtual walkthrough of a home as like it's a new thing. We've been doing that for years. I'll have out-of-town buyers,
Yeah.
and I'll walk through and FaceTime a house.
Yeah.
And I've sold several that way where my client has seen it, online and never actually walked it.
Yeah, I wonder if the day will come where that's like a regular thing. And
Yeah.
I think that I always believe in utilizing technology to provide more information, more
Right.
ability to make a decision rather than just kind of as a cool tool.
Yeah.
But I mean, what better way to know what the backyard is like without running out to
Yeah.
see a house than to just do a walkthrough video? I can actually record 2 minutes tops, and while in my car, go into the car, upload it to YouTube, and share a private link to my
Right.
sellers, and that takes less than 5 minutes.
And see, doing it real time, like the FaceTime, I've done that because the client can say, "Hey, give me a close up
Yeah,
on
what
the
about
kitchen
that?
cabinets. I want to see that closer. Can you open that door for me?" Because we're talking while I'm walking through, and it's a lot better than I guess it is a form of a virtual tour. But
So a lot of sellers are saying, "Hey, I think I kind of want to wait to put my home on the market until everything settles down."
yeah, the problem with that is we don't know what the market's going to be. I got one that just said, "Hey, we're going to wait till a year from now," and it's like, okay, fine. Hope the market's good. There's no indicator it wouldn't be, but here we're in the midst of a potential financial change, big one.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the market's going to be. We know what it is today, and you've heard me say this 100 times. There's never been a better time to buy.
Right.
Well, there's never been a better time to sell.
Yeah.
And we're seeing some people doing some profit taking, selling now, moving into an apartment while they're, selling while the selling's good. And that's not altogether a bad idea if you're at a time in your life where you're going to be transitioning anyway, planning a move. That's not a terrible idea.
Yeah, we also had our friend Steve Chater, who's a longtime real estate agent, and he's an investor out of Arizona. And I was talking to another client, not him, but his comment is relevant. We're just he's like, every time I've bought a house, I've lost money. And it's interesting. You don't lose houses when you buy them. You lose when you sell. And I think that's an important consideration, because it shouldn't be something that you make a decision on based on whether you're going to win or lose. You're making what's the best decision for your family.
Right.
And, I think sometimes people sell in fear. And
Right.
so I'm not asking for any listings in fear right now. I don't think
Nope.
you need to do anything. But I am saying that if you're going to make your decision based on emotion, it's not a good thing. So make it, if you already made a decision of wanting to be in Arizona or relocate or get a bigger home, there's some great opportunity right now.
There are.
Don't just change based on fear of the unknown. It's really unknown. We don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 to 4 to 5 months.
Nope, you don't. Kind of going back to a comment you made about, when you make or don't make money. When I was brand new in the business decades ago, I was at a real estate conference and cornered one of the East Side's big investors, a big shot. And I was almost a little afraid to talk to him, but in my naivete, I asked him, "What's your secret to success?" And he told me. And it's like, wow. And what he said...
I was going to say, are you going to share it with
yeah,
us?
I am. I am going to share. Basil VC. I don't know if anybody remembers Basil VC. He passed,
Windermere,
rest his soul. No, he was an investor developer.
Oh, okay.
And he told me, he says, look, you don't make money when you sell real estate. You make money when you buy real estate.
There you go.
So making a good buying decision, in the right location, that's where you make your money. And then you collect the money when you sell, but you make it when you buy.
If you have questions about buying or selling in this market, please give us a call. You can reach us at 425-200-4093. I think there's option 1, option 2 to buy or sell. We're happy to answer all your questions. And that concludes our Real Talk segment for today. If you're interested in this and other topics that we've covered on our Real Talk segment, please check out our blog at theeastsiderealestateteam.com/blog. And again, you can call us directly at 425-200-4093. Coming up next, we'll be speaking with our lender for our Mortgage Moment segment. After this commercial break, we'll hear from Michael Burdick, an experienced loan consultant with Loan Depot. More Real Talk right after this break.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact: homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time home buyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Do you want to hold on to a property but don't have the time or knowledge to manage a tenant? The solution is Brink Property Management. They can take care of this for you so you can relax. Why us? We attract and retain the most experienced property managers in the region with over 23 years serving the local rental market. For more information, contact 425-458-4848 or visit www.brinkpm.com.
Is navigating your healthcare options challenging? Angel Barna with Troth & Company helps businesses and Medicare-eligible individuals navigate often complex healthcare options. Let us be your partner in healthcare planning. As a broker, we are your advocate and work for you. Get non-biased, straightforward options by calling 425-616-2867. Troth & Company, your partner in healthcare planning. 425-616-2867.
Wherever you go, Alternative Talk 1150 is here for you.
Welcome back to the show. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan, and it's now time for our Mortgage Moment segment. And during this segment, we are going to talk about the current market, what's going on, what the heck is going on in the mortgage market. And joining us today is our local mortgage expert with Loan Depot, Michael Burdick. Welcome back to the show, Michael.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
I know you're super busy, and I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedule.
So, Michael, what's driving the rates down? What's happening?
Well, when the stock market goes down and there's volatility in the market, that unfortunately it affects a lot of people. It affects their businesses, it affects their margins, their profits, but it also does bring mortgage rates down. So what we're seeing is a combination of stocks, the losses those are taking, the coronavirus, election year. It's all kind of this perfect storm, which is pushing mortgage rates down. So they're about 1.25% lower than they were at this time last year.
Wow. 1.25%. That's insane.
That's big.
So what other factors are contributing to the rate volatility? Because I know we were down below 3 last Thursday, and now it's back up. So what's contributing to the volatility there?
So, it's kind of an interesting crisis that's happening right now, and there's a lot of demand for refinances because, like I said, if you closed last year, you possibly could be in the mid-4s, and now getting a rate in the mid-3s or even lower if you were one of the lucky ones last week. There's just an unprecedented demand for refi, and banks, credit unions, mortgage companies like us, there's only so much liquidity and dollars to lend out. Our CEO had a really interesting discussion on Fox News this week about, money, just like he was told by his parents, money doesn't grow on trees. So, the liquidity has to be there. And I think it's just a capacity issue that the industry is dealing with right now. So that's also going to maybe, push rates up and down in directions that we might not usually see happen when we follow the other indicators like bond market and stock market.
So did you hear that, Brian, that they actually had the rate stop because
Right.
of, what did you call it, Michael, yesterday?
Capacity.
Capacity.
And just the demand.
They couldn't do the
and how
loans.
much.
Right.
So they raised the rates because they had so
Sure.
many people going in there.
Close down the pipeline.
Yep. That's crazy.
So grab your crystal ball for us for a second and tell us where you see rates going in the future.
Well, last week I was told more people to lock because we have seen a couple fluctuations up, and those were the best rates we've seen in my career of 10 years. And, with all the volatility that we're currently seeing with the election year, with coronavirus that's looming, I don't think rates can go up, anytime soon. I don't know if they'll dip down as good as they were last week, but I think maybe that was the floor for our industry. I don't know. But I think kind of where we're at now in the mid threes, depending on your situation, is a good spot for rates to be at.
Yeah, so I would say if you're out there and you're thinking about it, or either a refinance or a purchase, get your information ready so that you're ready to lock once you either A, find the property, or B, find the rate that you want associated with the time of refinance. So, Michael, how do our listeners get a hold of you?
They can Google Michael Burdick, Loan Depot out of Bellevue. Best number for me is 206-661-2289. Call me anytime, 24/7.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Next up after the break, we will have Angel Barna, our good friend Angel Barna of Troth and Company, who will be discussing with us about obtaining insurance in the time of crisis. Please come on back after this short break.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093. Or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are you wearing too many hats in your small business? Finding yourself wondering where the time went? Do you ever get frustrated with technology that should just work? Then you need Nerds to Go, America's small business IT department. 425-800-NERD. At Nerds to Go, we provide friendly, professional, and reasonably priced solutions for small business owners. From network troubleshooting to hardware repair or training, let Nerds to Go be your IT department. Call Nerds to Go today. We'll come to you. 425-800-NERD. That's 425-800-NERD.
Is navigating your healthcare options challenging? Angel Barna with Troth and Company helps businesses and Medicare eligible individuals navigate often complex healthcare options. Let us be your partner in healthcare planning. As a broker, we are your advocate and work for you. Get non-biased, straightforward options by calling 425-616-2867. Troth and Company, your partner in healthcare planning. 425-616-2867.
Find out the latest about your favorite shows on Alternative Talk 1150. Check out 1150kknw.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan, and our first guest today is Angel Barna of Troth and Company. Angel is a healthcare insurance broker who brings over 10 years of insurance expertise to all our clients. Having helped hundreds of businesses and individuals over the years, Angel empowers business owners, Medicare beneficiaries, and individuals to navigate the highly confusing, I'm just saying, this is ad-libbing here, and rough waters of healthcare. She takes her clients from a place of confusion to confidence and understanding. By taking the time to personally understand each client's individual needs, she tailors options and solutions that meet both their goals and budget. Angel's first and foremost a proud mom of 2 kids and is no longer a dog lover because her dog ate her glasses. I mean, she still loves the dog, I'm sure. How could you not? It's such an adorable face, yeah. But in her spare time, she enjoys watching her daughter compete. Doing what? Competing what?
She's actually benched right now due to a back injury.
No,
yeah.
doggone it. Benched
from what?
Compete?
Soccer and
Soccer
kickboxing.
and
active
kickboxing.
girl, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but also not watching her daughter compete flower gardening. Flower gardening is something you like to do. And spending time with in Westport with her kids and parents crabbing and beachcombing. Welcome back to the show, Angel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
When is the crabbing season? Do you guys know?
It's open all year there.
It's best in the wintertime, though.
Is that right?
Thanksgiving was the best for us.
Wow.
That's when the crabs are coming in or something?
I don't know if the crabs were coming in or no one else was down there, but yeah, we caught Reggie, the big crab. We caught this season,
How big?
I don't even
Like
remember.
this big?
I have a picture of him. He was huge. He
Big
was
Dungeness?
Yeah.
You named him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Only the big ones get names.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and then you eat them.
Oh, yeah.
How quaint.
Wow.
It's awful. It's awful, but tasty.
All right.
Crazy.
So since we're familiar with you, we know about your hobbies and interests, and we have your fond memory. Do you want? I mean, you just shared one there, right? Crabbing with your kids. So let's get right down to brass tacks.
All right.
Coronavirus on everyone's mind. You cannot avoid it. I actually put a moratorium in our offices. No more coronavirus conversations, or I'm going to flip my stuff.
We're just talking about puppies and good
Puppies.
stuff.
Let's talk about happiness.
Yeah.
The lack of traffic, the fact that we're saving the planet by less emissions because cars aren't going.
Yeah.
See the good side.
There's some good.
The half full beer. Yes. So let's talk about the healthcare, though.
We want to talk about the panic side of it.
Yeah. Well, let's clean it up. If you have concerns, those who don't have healthcare, what can they do?
Right. So Washington State has just opened up a special enrollment period. So if you did not purchase insurance and you're an individual, you can now purchase insurance. It'll be an April 1st effective date, and you actually have until April 8th to sign up.
So
we
we
have
have
the next-
open enrollment again. Nice.
For the individual market. So this is going to apply to people who have no health coverage in place right now. It doesn't matter if you're employed or not. If your employer doesn't offer health insurance, or if you opted out of the health insurance, or if you just decided, I'm healthy, I'm going to take a chance. I think it's heavily weighing on people's minds now that health insurance is a great idea.
Why is that such a big deal that there's open enrollment? Can't you just always enroll?
Not anymore, not with the Affordable Care Act. There's now an annual open enrollment for individuals. So there's a set time that you can make your elections and pick out a health care plan. The idea is that you don't have people purchasing health insurance when they need it and then canceling it when they don't need it, right?
Right.
So it's hard on the whole system.
So if someone were to need to find out information now, they email you or
Yep.
call. What's the
Yep.
best?
Feel free to give me a call or email, whatever's easiest.
Okay.
So if you're employed and your employer doesn't offer, you're eligible in the open enrollment period. Is that right?
Okay, so here's the nice thing about group health insurance is that there is no open enrollment period.
Oh, okay.
You can start a plan any time of the year.
Hmm.
So you can change plans any time of the year. These carriers are happy to do deductible crediting. So if you don't love your plan, you're truly not stuck with it. And I think we're in a crucial time where employees are now going to be demanding healthcare insurance. I think with this crisis, I think it's going to bring forward even more of a demand to have this benefit
For your workforce.
Yeah, for your workforce.
One of the things that Brian and I didn't talk about in the opening segment was there's still a really strong underlying workforce, right? Unemployment. And who knows, that could change very much. But one of the ways that that employers can entice their recruits to offer benefits. So what you're saying is you can write benefits for companies so that they can entice employees?
Yes. Yeah, and it's such a competitive job market here. I think I read that the unemployment was 3.3% in Washington right now. So if you're trying to attract and retain good employees and you don't have a health insurance plan, you're going to want to visit that.
Gotcha. And every year there's new set of options. But now you're saying as a business, you don't have to wait for the open enrollment. You can just go ahead and start this now, and your employees at any time can add or subtract it.
Yeah, there are no open enrollment periods for businesses. So you can start a plan any time of the year. Your employees have an opportunity to come on when you start your plan. If they waive, then they have to wait until the next open enrollment, unless they lost coverage for some reason, like they got kicked off their parents' plan or their spouse got laid off and that's who they were covered on, then they can hop onto your plan. But the carriers have been great in the small group market. They're allowing employers that have 51 and fewer employees to have multiple plans. One of my carriers even now allows you to do an HMO plan and a PPO plan. So they're really diving into the small group market and offering them great options right now.
All right. So let's see.
What kind of healthcare options do you provide for business?
I work with the top carriers in Washington. So I do the group health insurance benefits, so medical, dental, vision. Also, another popular option right now is supplemental or voluntary benefits. This allows employees to pick and choose policies based on what their needs are. If you have a history of cancer, if you never picked up life insurance, chronic health issues, if you have a history of family heart disease, you have the opportunity to pick up some extra coverage for that. Disability, paycheck insurance, all these benefits can be voluntary, they're going to do a couple things for you. They're going to help your employees have a little more control in their healthcare spending. It's also going to allow them to pick and choose the coverage that's perfect for them. And it's going to lower payroll taxes. In addition, many of these policies are pre-tax, so it's going to save the employer on payroll taxes too, which is nice.
Wow.
Okay, so as an employer, how big or how small of an employer do I need to be to provide this kind of product to our employees?
So group health insurance plans, you can do it with one employee. For the supplemental benefits, typically you need to have at least 5 employees.
5, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then what you do as an employer is you create the baseline, and then you have like an entree of services that the individual could say, hey, I'd like to add that, and that,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gets deducted from their paycheck, and then they have that coverage.
Yes.
And you handle all the ins and outs of that.
Yes.
That's cool. That's great.
It is.
That is really great.
So I think of like supplemental, like, some of the companies out there. I guess I don't know if I want to mention names.
The duck, the duck, or the
the duck guys.
Is it
Yeah.
a duck or a goose?
Goose. I don't know.
I think it's a duck.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, companies like that.
Yeah, but they're 5, or is that individual?
So some of those companies will allow you to do individual voluntary. Typically, you'll get a better rate if you do group. And there's a lot of group carriers that are not voluntary that have great benefits as well. And a blend. Like you could do MetLife and Hartford. They've got great options that are voluntary and employer paid. So there's
Okay.
tons of
options. That's the
Yeah.
part that I think is the most overwhelming. Is after you just kind of start going and then PPO and then
Yeah,
don't know where to
exactly.
start.
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. You need to have
Well,
somebody that's in that zone.
You probably know this, but after meeting Angel on the show, my wife and I met with her, and she walked us through everything. Just a fabulous job.
Yeah.
Because I just get lost in all that. You're an expert. You know it inside and out. That was one of the most helpful things we've done with our insurance. So we just really have appreciated working with you.
Thank you.
So another area you specialize in is Medicare. And how do you see this whole virus impacting the Medicare market?
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking earlier. A lot of my appointments have canceled, due to the coronavirus fears, and
Yep.
my Medicare clients haven't canceled at all.
Is that
No.
fear
They're like,
motivated?
no, I had one say, "Oh no, we've seen worse. Come on out."
Yeah.
And so, so far, knock on wood, no complaints. And the Medicare market seems to be the steady eddy of the medical field,
Really
in terms of
interesting.
insurance.
Yeah.
So far, knock on wood, I know this is kind of the population that's getting the most impacted by
So
the
they want to make
virus.
sure they're covered.
They want to make sure they're covered. However, Medicare is structured so that it's easy to get coverage. The plans are great. You can get 0 premium plans that have amazing benefits. So
I think the interesting part is I see this whole thing as changing how we do business in a really good way. If there are
Right.
less cars on the street, right, for sales calls, for, going to the factory was a thing. We don't do that anymore. We work on our computers and we have milestones and we have, benchmarks that we have to meet for certain jobs. Brian and I have to drive, right? We have to get places in order to look at physical inventory. But for you, have you looked into getting that Zoom conference call and sit down with the business and say, hey, schedule a conference call. We'll do face-to-face. I can walk you through. Because looking at these plans, when you hand me a piece of paper of it, it's like, but if you popped it up on the screen and I was able to kind of compare, that would be fantastic. Have you embraced that for your practice?
actually, most all of my practice is that way.
Oh, wow.
Very few of my group employers do I meet with. Most all of it's done online and over the phone.
Wow.
Medicare, I have 96 plans in King County, 10 carriers. Medicare is typically easier to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation.
Yep.
I do have a few that prefer to do an online appointment, like a Join Me or a WebEx. I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I think we'll see more of that in the future.
I do too. And I even think that, like Brian and I discussed, is incorporating that into our business. Let's see, tonight at 7:00, I have a buyer's meeting and it's online.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just hopping
great.
online and we're going to go over the stuff. So it's cool. We
Very
never
cool.
have to even interact with each other, Brian, physically. For you
there
introverts
you
out
go.
there, I know you're
Yeah.
super excited about that.
That's funny.
Finally.
So how many Medicare options did you say in
96 plans,
in
10
King County?
carriers in King County alone.
Wow. How do you
yeah.
keep up with that?
It's a lot of work. It
bet.
takes me forever every year to do the
And they're all different?
certifications.
They're all different?
Yeah, they're all different.
And you got to be certified for them.
You have to be certified for each carrier.
Otherwise, you can't sell them.
Nope.
Yeah.
Got to do the federal certification, the carriers, and
Wow.
they're great plans though, and there truly is a plan for everybody. And there's zero premium plans, there's Cadillac plans, there's so many options.
So we have a little time for a success story, and I'm putting you on the spot. But can you share with our listeners a success story that you had recently, given the current environment, how you really came through?
Yeah, they're all success stories. But I just met with a gentleman yesterday whose wife has just suddenly lost her position at work, and it's a hardship, right? Because COBRA for their family of four is $2,400 a month.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a lot.
a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot. And so, fortunately, he is at an age where he could do Medicare, and so set him up with a supplement plan, and it saves him $1,000 a month off of that COBRA.
Oh, that's great.
And that's that's a win.
That's a
It
big
was
one.
an unplanned event, good or bad. I think the jury's still out on that, but it was
Yeah.
one of those moments. It was like,
What are we
weren't-
gonna do?
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
weren't there yet. They weren't ready to retire. They weren't, so.
And I can imagine, I think when you get to that spot where Medicare is available, you get a mailbox full of stuff. Right?
Yes.
And kind of trying to weave through how to make that have the most impact without paying through the nose or grabbing stuff you don't need.
Yeah.
And
And it
all
all
that stuff.
looks so official when you get it too. It looks
Right.
pressing and urgent and
Yeah.
fancy, and there's a lot that
And
comes in.
confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It muddies the water for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you have for our listeners? How do they get a hold of you?
Yes.
With the open enrollment, or if you own a business and you want to keep and retain employees, how do our listeners get in touch with you?
Yes, you can ring me at my office line. It's 425-616-2867.
She's here in the studio, so give her a second before you call. Or what's the
Hey, the ringer's off.
What's the email?
You can email me at angel@Troth and Company. It's ANGEL@TROTHANDCO.com.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for coming in again today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really timely. I appreciate it. After the break, we're going to be talking with Aya Mears with Kengo Kuma and Associates, who will be discussing the relationship between architecture and real estate. Join us right after this break.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact: homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time home buyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate Team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Do you think having potential is a compliment or insult? Jedediah Collins and Rookie to Veteran empowers people to eliminate the gap between potentially achieving your goals and taking the actions to achieve success. Rookie to Veteran takes pride in translating the behaviors of the best in the world to your everyday life. Jedediah has empowered thousands of people to start capturing their dream. For more information, visit jedediahcollins.com, or for financial freedom, follow Jedediah Collins' YouTube channel.
Are you tired of failing your New Year's resolutions? PJ helps you reach your health and fitness goals faster and with less willpower required through the use of his time-saving exercise methodology, brain rewiring techniques, and habit hacks. PJ has helped thousands of people over the last 3 decades through X-Gym, blogging, his book, online training, his exercise app, YouTube, online courses, workshops, public and corporate talks, and personal coaching. For more information, contact him at pj@xgym.com.
Seattle, Tacoma, Antwerp. That's right. We're streamed worldwide on our app and on the web at 1150kknw.com.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan.
Our next guest is Aya Mears of Kengo Kuma Associates. Aya graduated from Cornell University in 2018 with a Bachelor of Architecture. After graduating, Aya was a junior faculty member in the Department of Architecture at her school for the first year design studio, and is most recently working at Kengo Kuma's office in Tokyo, Japan, most notably architect of the 2020 Olympic Stadium. Aya, what do you do when you're not being an architect?
I'm a relatively tame person, actually. I enjoy reading. Cooking is a good creative outlet for me. In the wintertime, skiing. I occasionally go bouldering. But I am kind of a nerd, so I enjoy going to museums for the art and the architecture and researching architecture in my spare time.
What do you like to cook?
Ooh, I mean, I picked up cooking when we did our semester in Rome, so Italian cooking is fun.
Nice.
Enjoy Japanese food, thanks to my mom, and yeah, and anything new, really. It's just a chance to explore. That way.
Well, and we like to ask our guests something fond about the home they grew up in. So you grew up here in the Northwest, right?
I did. I actually have never moved to a different house. And then when I went to college, I was living somewhere different every year or every semester, which was kind of a big change from that. I don't have one specific memory necessarily, but home has always been a very steady and consistent place for me. It was a place to study and explore my interests, and I guess we like to talk about safe spaces a lot, so home has always been that.
Safe space for you, yeah.
Nice. Are there any new trends within the architectural discipline?
There are many trends within the architecture discipline. The industry is always evolving, but I guess related to real estate a little bit, there's been a trend in the last 10 years or so of more architect developers coming up. This job provides end-to-end control of the process. So architecture and developers are traditionally very separate things. Obviously, architects really focus on just the design aspect of it, whereas the developer will work more with contractors and I guess do more of the business negotiations. So with the rise of technology and BIM, or building information modeling software, it becomes important for the architect to try to branch out and have more control over the processes that way.
It's interesting because I know as Brian and I look at, kind of what's being built out there, new construction, I probably say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, you started to see traditional just builders start to incorporate more design versus just straight up building. And I'll mention names like Quadrant and D.R. Horton, where they were pretty, I wouldn't say totally utilitarian, but they started to adopt some of the things that some of the more, I would say, architectural style, where you actually put, craftsman style finishes out there rather than just building a home for a home. And I would say that probably started maybe 10 years ago. Feels like it. Feels like it.
And I would assume some of the finishes are architectural choices, not just design. But like I'm seeing a trend using some stone on the front of some of these homes that looks like cinder block. It's not, but it's like, dang.
So what do you think are the benefits of being an architect/developer?
So besides obvious aesthetic benefits, because of how the architect is trained, the site can often be optimized for sustainability and efficiently go into planning their future developments instead of actually putting up new constructions. So architects are knowledgeable about things like building code, the history of design, as well as contemporary and projecting future trends. So I think it's a win-win all the way around.
So you're talking about architect developer. That's kind of a new phrase to me. That's meaning actually doing the design and the build. Is that right?
So there are actual design build companies, but I suppose you can think of an architect developer being in kind of the same vein as that.
Because historically, isn't that how this all evolved? I mean, I think.
Well, when you mention like quadrant homes and kind of those big developments that are going up, those constitute about 80% of, I guess, the at least residential properties that are built. And those 80% that are done by developers actually don't involve an architect at all.
Right.
They're very just kind of cookie cutter model homes that don't really need much.
Well, once they get a design for 5 different types, that's it. They're putting those 5, and
they'll reverse them.
Yeah,
there's 10,
and maybe a different elevation here.
Right.
But it's more, I would say, more of the craft-built homes. John Buchan, even though they're a little cookie cutter, Murray Franklin. I know they have an architect on staff, but it's just one, right? and they're building a lot of homes, and they're probably not going to change styles because the buyers like that. So it sounds to me like an architect's role is more in the commercial space, more in the custom home space, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, as an emerging architect, what's something you're passionate about?
In the last couple of years of school, I discovered I really like the kind of experiential or phenomenological side of architecture.
Wait, say that again.
Phenomenological.
Phenomenological?
Basically, it's really putting yourself in a first-person perspective of designing. So when you enter a space, when you approach it, what's kind of the atmosphere, the vibe that you want within the space, rather than just having the exterior view, that bird's eye view, and plan the kind of like general ways that architecture is conceived of. So it's a more intimate way of approaching.
It must be interesting with stuff like Oculus 3D. You can kind of immerse yourself in a design. Did you get an opportunity to look at some of that or study some of that stuff?
Right as I was graduating, actually, there were a couple studios that were venturing into doing VR studios and getting into that realm. The school likes to brag about how the first rendering software was developed by a professor in the CS department, actually. So they've started to kind of cross over between the two departments, but I had already decided that I kind of wanted to focus on something else, so I did not dapple into the VR studios.
The more tactile stuff, yeah. But you were saying, and I sort of jumped a little bit, but more of the immersive kind of design style?
Yeah. So that whole like experiential facet of it is something that should be taken into consideration regardless of any project that you do, right? You try to do the best job that you can with any kind of space. Right. But for me, it manifests mostly when I work on hospitality-geared projects, so restaurants, hotels, that kind of thing, where the user experience is really a key part of the client's business and for them to be able to sell whatever their product might be. So, yeah.
Well, so you mentioned sustainability before in contemporary architecture, and I think for me it actually, you can kind of walk in. A good example would be, what is the geodesic thing, the Amazon sphere that they have down there? You just have a feeling when you walk into something that's been designed with an environment in mind, right?
Yep.
So how is that playing into what it is you're looking to do?
The idea of sustainability?
Yes.
Well, everyone has their own opinion about what sustainability is. It's a very trendy buzzword, has been for quite some time now. Generally, in the U.S. at least, the average life expectancy of a new construction is 30 to 40 years, which is not a very long time when you think about the history of some of the real cultural icons that can be found around the world. But that has to do a lot with, again, the economy. If you decide to keep up buildings for a longer period of time, then architects don't really have jobs for new construction. They turn more towards restoration and renovation instead. And the last place I was working was Tokyo at Kuma's office. Tokyo is similar in that way. They generally stick to about 30 years before they tear down and reconstruct the building in its place. This does have to do, on the one hand, with building technology, which is changing. Obviously, a place like Japan has some of the best earthquake structure technology that we've ever seen, out of necessity more than anything else.
Yeah.
But also the actual technology that's embedded within the walls, ways of optimizing how the building runs, that kind of thing, mechanical systems, etc. So even as there are cities within the U.S. and worldwide that are pushing for densification of their urban areas just because it is a more sustainable way just to have people closer together, you're not traveling, expending as much energy that way, that does mean that buildings are going to be demolished as they're put up in those places because you want to stay kind of confined within this footprint instead. But again, sustainability for the business side of architects is not always great. Actually, the office in Japan has a large population of Italians working there because Italy has the highest per capita of architects. It's
really?
Something like 1 in 45 people.
Kind of like real estate brokers here.
Yeah, about 1 in 45 people in Italy are trained architects, which is terrible for a country that prides itself on its history, does not like to put up new constructions.
Well, they're like, look, we built that. It's still standing. We're done. Right.
Exactly. So everyone there ends up working in restoration or renovation instead.
Yeah.
So you said you studied in Italy also?
First semester, yeah.
Okay, so you were over there at Florence?
Rome.
Rome, okay.
Rome, nice.
All right, and that was part of your architecture school at Cornell, or?
Yes, it was a mandatory.
Mandatory.
abroad.
But that's where you
I know,
learned to
terrible.
cook, right? Italian
Yeah.
food and all
there you
that.
go.
So do you think the design is approached differently in Japan than the U.S.?
It's hard to say since I was only in Japan, in Tokyo, for a couple months. There is definitely a huge influence of international style and modernist movements, particularly in post-war architecture in Japan. But even so, this integration and influence of Western design is still mediated by this really strong foundation of Japanese architecture embedded within their cultural history, their religious history, etc. At Kengo Kuma's office, actually, the roof form of the building was really emphasized there, which I think is often overlooked in this kind of strictly modern movement, which is kind of filtered its way through the U.S. as well. It started in Europe and then filtered over here. But there we worked a lot on kind of the roof form, this idea of a floating object over the landscape, and that's really kind of the highlighting iconic moment in all of his projects. So it was nice to have a perspective where, hey, we don't really, it's not that we don't care about this, but this is the most important thing. You know, this is what we want attached with the firm's name and to be associated with it.
So what is the most valuable lesson you've learned thus far?
At my first internship, my boss really emphasized the importance of looking about 10 years ahead, anticipating trends not only within the architectural profession, but in how the needs of society will change along with how humans interact with those spaces. Cultural institutions such as libraries are not obsolete yet, but they can no longer be conceived of and constructed in the same way as they were, 10, 20, 50 years ago. They have to reflect the changing needs of society and how research is conducted and how information is consumed.
Don't need bookshelves.
Data centers.
Yeah.
There's actually, I don't remember where this library went up, built within the last couple of years or so. Actually came under fire because they had books on the shelves for these like beautiful, beautiful tall shelves, like tens of feet high, and above maybe like 15 feet or so was just wallpaper. They didn't actually have books on the shelves, so it was a total farce in that sense. So if that's the trend for libraries, then I don't know if I can get behind that one. But,
Right.
To each their own.
Yeah.
And I think another really good example is actually e-commerce. The traditional brick and mortar stores are dying, and they aren't able to keep people coming into their shops because, especially like in this area, we love talking about Amazon and how it's dominated the retail industry. So in that we don't really need brick and mortar stores anymore, then we have to start looking towards warehouses for better or for worse. So we go from these really warm, inviting atmospheres to how can we make industrial chic like as inviting and as nice a space for the workers that are there as we can.
Yeah.
Aya, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank
That
you for
was,
having me.
Very interesting. Remember, all of the segments of our show are available to watch on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about any of our guests, please subscribe. Join us after the break for some final thoughts and something fun to do.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093. Or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are you worried about an aging loved one who is isolated in their home? Or maybe they've just had a fall and they're not safe in their house? If you're searching for a safe place for them to live, you've probably been overwhelmed with all the choices. There are over 150 assisted living and memory care communities licensed in King County and over 1,000 adult family homes. Oasis Senior Advisors has helped thousands of families across the country navigate this difficult time. And we have the compassion and understanding in getting to know your loved one and what they need. To learn more, check us out at oasisssenioradvisors.com. That's all one word, oasisssenioradvisors.com. Or call us at 425-526-7111. That's 425-526-7111. Oasis Senior Advisors, because the right place means everything.
Wondering what's on next on Alternative Talk 1150? Check out 1150kknw.com.
Well, welcome back to Real Talk on 1150 KKNW. Let's get right in to our final thoughts of the day. Brian, what do you got?
I've got customer service.
Okay.
You know, Dan and I, one of the things that we hang our hats on is delivering an excellent experience. You think about it, we don't own the real estate we sell, so what do we sell?
The experience.
The experience, yeah. Yesterday, I had a call. I mentioned that listing that I sold, that we had multiple offers.
Yeah.
I had a call from a buyer who wanted to see the home. And I'm like, sure, I'd love to show it to you. I'd love to help.
Yeah.
And she said that her broker, who I will not name because I have a strict policy of never disparaging the competition.
Right, we wouldn't want to disparage them.
Yeah, refused. And they refused because there was, I don't know, so much activity or whatever going on.
And
anyway, she is now in contract buying this lovely home, and it's a win for everybody.
Because we get hired to sell homes.
We get hired to find a home you want to buy or help the seller sell their home.
Yeah.
But it's all about the experience. And, just talking about this virus thing and people being scared. Oh, driving into the office today, I told my wife, it's like, I am not panicked over this virus.
No.
She says, I'll put that on your tombstone.
You're cute.
Gotta love that. But anyway, just thinking about what's going on right now, you don't have to leave your home. As Dan and I mentioned, we can do a virtual tour. We can walk you through on, FaceTime or one of the other apps. You don't have to leave the comfort of your home to buy your dream home.
I got something, Brian. Just listed today in Renton near Fairwood.
Yeah.
$500,000. It is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's got a giant master suite upstairs, little bonus loft, living room, family room. It's on a cul-de-sac, backs to King County Protected Grounds. It's going to be a hot one. So come see us between 1 and 4, Saturday and Sunday. We'll be open.
Yeah.
And we're happy to write it up for you.
Yeah.
You know?
So in the famous words of my friend Angel Barna, wash your hands or die. Love, Mom.
Love, Mom.
20 seconds, at least 20 seconds. Yeah. Little note to my kids.
Yeah. So Dan, what's happening that's fun this
Well,
weekend?
get outside, go for a hike, go for a walk. You can do a tour of the Greenbelt. So you can join a park ranger for a free guided tour of the Lake Hills Greenbelt. And you'll see restoration sites, tour a cedar forest, learn about local wildlife. The walks are free. They meet at the Lake Hills Greenbelt Ranger Station every Saturday between 2 p.m. Walks are fun for the whole family and all ages. If you don't want to be there at 2 o'clock, grab your smartphone. You can Google just about anything and say, what's that, and have a nature walk on your own. There's lots of trails. Last week I went for a drive. I got to say, Chuckanut Drive, if you've not done it, it's an awesome drive on a sunny day. Go hit it, grab some oysters.
Taylor Shellfish Farm right there.
It's right there in the Crook, and you'll have a blast. So, bring us home, Brian.
So that concludes our show for the week. I especially want to thank our guests, Angel and Aya, for taking the time to speak with us today. I learned a lot. I like that. Thank you all for listening. And before we go, in the words of Warren Buffett, look at market fluctuations as your friend rather than your enemy. Profit from folly rather than participate in it. Hey, buy stock. They're having a sale.
They're having a sale. Thanks for listening, everyone.